and welcome to Studio 501c3. I'm your host, Kim Jones, Executive Director of the Nonprofit Village. Our show features nonprofit organizations designated as 501c3 by the IRS because they provide a public benefit. In many cases, your donations might be tax deductible. Nonprofit Village and Montgomery Community Media are partners on this show. We're proud to collaborate in featuring the county's excellent nonprofit programs and services. Today, we're featuring the work of Shepherd's Table, a charity that was created in 1983 and every day provides help to people who are homeless or in need of basic services. Joining me is Executive Director Manny Hidalgo. Manny, thanks so much for coming on the show to share more about Shepherd's Table.
Thank you, Kim. Thanks for inviting me. Appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, so let's jump in. 40 years almost, helping people with basic needs, people who are houseless, homeless, with meals, social services, medical support. What else is on that list, and what is not on that list that needs to be on that list?
I guess the one thing to add to the list is people experiencing food insecurity. So we are, particularly now during this COVID epidemic or pandemic, we are seeing a significant number of people who are recently unemployed, right, who are having trouble putting food on the table. And so they're able to come here and have a meal with us or have several meals with us, as the case may be. And in some cases, bring in their children as well. So I would say, yeah, for the homeless, people experiencing poverty and the food insecure, we're a place to come and receive that sustenance and social services. And
I think that's how a lot of people probably first hear about you, know about you. A lot of people in the community that volunteer. When I first moved here back in the 80s, it was the first place that my husband and I came to volunteer. And it was, I think, during the holiday season. We said, well, we're here. We don't have family. Let's make somebody else our family. So I think that's how people first hear about you.
Yeah, that's an excellent point, the volunteering, because I think that is something that I hear quite a bit, how much people appreciate the opportunity to volunteer here and to engage with the community in need of services as a volunteer here, because it's very efficient. People know that they're going to be put to use, that they're going to actually work up a sweat. They're going to actually do some real work, and they're going to engage with the clients, with what we call our meal guests, and that they're going to have a great experience. I mean, our chefs are trained. Essentially, it's like having a new kitchen crew every meal.
Wow.
So they're trained to get their volunteers involved, assisting with the preparation of the food, assisting with the service of the food, of course, and assisting with cleanup afterwards. But yeah, no volunteer has ever told me that they came and that they felt they weren't useful. People feel very useful. And so we have about 2,500 volunteers every year, putting in over 10,000 hours.
That's incredible. And serving approximately how many people for just the meals?
Yeah, so your average meal is going to be anywhere from 100 to 200 people. So you're looking at, right now, because of COVID, we're doing brunch and dinner. So you're looking at about 400 people daily. It's about 120,000 meals a year. As far as actual individuals served, one of the aspects of our organizational culture is that we don't ask for any identity. We don't ask where you live. We don't ask, income or anything. So as far as unduplicated individuals served, that's a little bit trickier to ascertain, but we believe it's probably close to about 3,000 people every year.
Okay, which is a significant number. Any number, even 3 would be significant, but 3,000. So there are, and again, the operation is, like you said, a well-oiled machine. Others that I've had the opportunity to be a volunteer with around the region, friends who volunteer out in Northern Virginia or in DC, never describe how everything moves. So, like I said, like a machine in terms of the service and everything. So So that's something that clearly is a best practice. But there's other services. When you look at the website, sometimes you're able to provide legal services, referrals for legal services, or even something as simple as a haircut. There's an eye clinic. Tell me a little bit more about those services, because you don't often see that.
Yeah, and the eye clinic in particular is unique. It's the only eye clinic specifically for the homeless in the whole DMV. And we do about 365 patients a year who are able to get an eye exam and to get glasses. And we also just started doing last year, getting people paired up with a surgeon for cataract surgery and to help deal with glaucoma. So more serious eye issues that we can now address. We have a wonderful optometrist. She's been with us.
Is your optometrist and anyone else with the clinic also a volunteer?
No, Dr. Davis actually has a private practice. Bernetta Davis is her name. She's wonderful. She's been with us for quite some time, but she's a doctor in her own right with her own private practice, and we hire her to be here twice a month. So she's able to see patients here. But everybody in that program, we do ask to basically, we do know they have to know their identity. They're receiving a medical service, and we do ask for proof of income. So that one is strictly for not necessarily homeless, but certainly for the poor. Okay.
All right. So there's some other services that we're going to want to talk about on the other side of the break. We're going to just take a short break and come back and talk about the Resource Center and some of the daily activities that are available in the Resource Center. So we'll find out more about that and more about how Shepherd's Table serves the basic needs of thousands in the community each year. You're watching Studio 501c3 on Montgomery Community Media. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
I think someone at my friend's school has this thing called autism. My friend's brother's son has autism. My neighbor's son has autism. My son has autism.
Autism is getting closer to home. Today, 1 in 88 children is diagnosed with autism. That's a 1,000% increase in the last 40 years. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs.
Brush, brushy, brush, brushy, brush, brush your teeth. Every day and every night. Brushy, brush, 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 brush. Now it's your parents' turn. Here's what you gotta do. You have to have your toothbrush so that they can brushy, brush your teeth. Good job, you're almost done. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's it. Help your teeth stay healthy. Brushy, brush with a grown-up every day.
Welcome back to Studio 501c3. I'm Kim Jones. With me today is Manny Hidalgo, the Executive Director of Shepherd's Table. So let's go back to what we were starting to talk about just before the break, the Resource Center, which in addition to all of the services that you have already described, you have this Resource Center that people can come and use and get some extra things. Why don't you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so what we realized is when people were coming for meals, it was obvious that there were other needs. For example, clothing. So we have a clothes closet that we operate every week. People were in need of toiletries. They were in need of mail services. That's a big one. We have about 2,800 pieces of mail that we receive and are able to turn around to people. The homeless, something as simple as not having a mailbox can really affect your ability to receive SSI, any assistance from the state or local. So mail service is a big one. Phone service. A lot of people don't have cell phones, can't afford a cell phone. We can allow them to use a phone for whatever. We also have, like you mentioned, the haircuts. We also have the expungement clinic with the Homeless People's Representation Project. And we also help with prescription medication. So, and finally, I would say the other big thing we do, well, I mentioned blankets, right? I believe I mentioned blankets. We provide blankets.
No, but that's good to know.
Backpacks, those really big backpacks that oftentimes the homeless need because they're carrying really all their possessions.
Everything at the same time, right?
Like the nice internal frame packs. And then bus tokens. We provide several thousand bus tokens throughout the year for people to be able to get around.
Okay. The idea of the personal mail, the use of the telephone allows people to stay connected in many ways to other services, to people that they need to. The services that you're offering in terms of tokens and toiletries and blankets. And it's another way, the haircuts, the eye clinic, it's another way to allow people to have the dignity of what might be used to in everyday life.
Absolutely.
And I think that's so important when you read your mission statement and you talk about providing these basic needs. And sometimes we forget what our basic needs are.
Yeah. And to be able to provide them with a degree of compassion and respect. We believe that everyone should be, like you said, dignity, I think, is a great way, is the perfect word for it, to be treated with dignity, to be valued as a human being. And that goes a long way in helping somebody get through the day, get through life.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've only got a couple of minutes left, so I have a couple more questions, so you'll have to answer quickly. But what's the missing piece of the puzzle? You have extensive partnerships out in the community with other organizations that are providing food and services for those who are houseless and homeless and, medical services. What's the missing piece of the puzzle that helps us move towards reducing poverty and trying to stop the flow of people coming back through the system?
Well, definitely the lack of affordable housing is one of the number one barriers, one of the largest impediments to the people that we serve. The ability to get into a home is going to be a problem and has been a problem for some time. I would say also jobs. People, in order to afford rent, need to have a stable source of income. So we're trying to look at potentially creating some vocational training, possibly through a culinary skills training program or gardening. We just started a garden in the back. We're using the food that we grow to help provide the meals, but we were thinking about also creating maybe like a landscaping gardening program for our clients.
So we're almost out of time here. Will those opportunities be on the website for people that might want to volunteer?
Absolutely. And we're just finishing our strategic plan. So as soon as we announce that the end of the strategic plan, we'll talk about some of these new programs that we'll be unveiling, and that will all be on the website.
Great. So people can access your website at shepherdstable.org, find out more, volunteer, donate, get involved. And Manny, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
I want all of our viewers to join us next time on Studio 501c3, your window on nonprofits in Montgomery County. I'm Kim Jones, and join us next time on Montgomery Community Media. This episode of Studio 501c3 was sponsored by MBA Growth Partners.